All right, let's jump into another deep dive this week. We've got some really interesting stories from the Observer Group newspapers, December 18th.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about Kwanzaa, a pretty amazing literary figure who recently passed, a baseball legend, mental health resources in California, and then the reparations debate. Should be pretty fascinating.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, so first up is Kwanzaa. There's this article by Bakari Sanyu, really got me thinking about it. It's like more than a holiday, you know?
Yeah, definitely. It's got these deep roots in African harvest traditions, right?
Yeah.
All about
Yeah.
community and renewal. And it's pretty amazing how it started in the 60s in LA, and now it's like a global thing.
It is, yeah. It really is. And I was thinking about the seven principles, the Nguzo Saba,
Oh, yeah.
and like how they connect to things going on today, with African American community.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like you think about Ujana, cooperative economics.
That's a big one, especially these days, right? Building that economic power within the community, especially with all this talk about wealth disparities and everything.
For sure. For sure. It's like not just something from the past. It's like a call to action right now.
Yeah.
And I like how, Son, you brought up the questions from Dr. France Fanon,
Oh, yeah.
like, who am I? Am I really who I say I am? And am I all I ought to be?
Yeah, it really gets you thinking, doesn't it? It makes it more universal, I think, those
Yeah.
principles. Doesn't matter what your background is, that self-reflection and just like striving to be better, it's a good thing.
It is, for sure. Now, kind of going from a celebration of heritage, we also have the news of Nikki Giovanni's passing. This is like a major figure in the Black Arts movement.
Yeah.
Died at 81.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. What a powerful voice, her poetry.
She was incredible. So raw and honest, unapologetically Black, really captured what it meant to be Black in America, all the
And
complexities.
her story, she was expelled from Fisk University,
It's wild.
and then readmitted and became, the celebrated poet.
Exactly.
And when like the mainstream publishers weren't into her work, she just started self-publishing.
She had that fire, that belief in herself. I
Mhm.
mean, what a lesson for anyone who's trying to like do something creative,
For sure.
Like you got to pave your own way sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, she sold out Alice Tully Hall at Lincoln Center, 1972,
Oh, yeah.
29 years old.
Hmm.
Like, what do you think it was that resonated so much with her audience, especially back then?
She was speaking to people who felt marginalized, unheard. Her words like gave them a voice. Take her poem, Ego Tripping.
Yeah, ego tripping.
Like it's just this powerful statement,
Yeah.
of Black female strength and beauty, celebration of heritage and identity. Like when she says, I was born in the Congo, I walked to the Fertile Crescent and built the Sphinx.
Yeah,
Just so powerful, that imagery, that sense of history and power.
it really is. And, it's interesting. She also expressed support for Song Hui Cho, the Virginia tech shooter,
Hmm.
before all that happened.
Yeah, it's a reminder that people are complicated, even the people we put on a pedestal.
Yeah,
You got to approach these stories with like nuance, try to understand.
for sure, for sure. Okay, for something a bit lighter, let's talk about Dave Roberts.
Okay.
LA Dodgers manager just got this Greater LA Scouting Character Award.
He's a great example of someone who's more than just what he does on the field.
Yeah.
2 World Series titles, that's incredible.
And he has like the highest winning percentage in MLB history. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, but like his leadership, it really lines up with those scouting values.
Totally. It's like he's all about character, teamwork. I love that quote he has. If you care about the guy next to you, he says, and really want the best for him, then everything else will take care of itself.
Yeah, it's all about empathy and that genuine connection, right? Stuff that matters way beyond baseball.
Absolutely. And I heard that award ceremony was quite the event.
Oh, yeah, they went all out. UCLA marching band, Anthony Anderson was the MC.
Oh, wow.
It was a party.
That's awesome. I mean, it's great to see someone like Roberts, who embodies like the talent, but also the good character.
Absolutely. And he's setting a great example, right? Especially for young athletes. Showing them that success and being a good person, it goes together.
Yeah.
And, he's only the second Black manager to win 2 World Series.
Oh, wow.
Kind of makes you think about, how far we've come in baseball
Yeah.
and how far we still got to go. Yeah, it's a big moment for sure. Now let's talk about something that's super important these days, youth mental health.
Oh, absolutely. And it's pretty amazing what California is doing about it.
Yeah, they're really stepping up, huh?
Yeah, a $4 billion initiative.
Uh,
That's serious. What I thought was really cool was, like, they're using tech to tackle this.
oh, yeah, I read about that.
These 2 free mobile apps, right?
That's right. Bright Life Kids, that's for the little ones, 0 to 12. And then Saluna for teenagers and young adults, 13 to 25.
So like literally a digital lifeline.
Pretty much, yeah. Live coaching, peer support, all kinds of guided self-help stuff right there on your phone.
It's smart, right? Like meeting young people where they are.
Totally. I mean, their lives are so tech-driven these days.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I really like the emphasis on peer support.
Yeah, sometimes just hearing from someone who gets it, makes a huge difference.
Totally.
And the coaches on the apps, they're really good. They offer that support, but also, like, real strategies to help them cope.
It's cool, right? Like on Bright Life Kids, they have this analogy about being the surfer,
Oh, yeah, I read about that.
learning to like ride the waves of life's challenges.
Exactly. It's so powerful.
Yeah.
Imagine if we could teach kids those skills early on.
Right.
I mean, these apps are already making a difference, bridging that gap in mental
Mhm.
health services, helping families who are struggling.
It's really cool. And there was that story about Saluna, how it helped this one family deal with some like cultural and emotional divides they were having.
Yeah, I remember that. Shows how these apps can, like, impact the whole family, the whole community even.
Totally. Okay, last deep dive for this part. Let's talk about reparations.
Right.
It's a big conversation happening nationwide, and California is like front and center.
Yeah, for sure.
This month, there was this gathering at the state capitol, bunch of community leaders, reparations advocates.
What were they calling for?
Well, they're saying that lawmakers need to like prioritize those reparations bills that have stalled.
Right.
They want Governor Newsom to use this special legislative session to, make something happen.
It sounds like they're looking for more than just, like, symbolic gestures.
Oh, definitely. They want real policies,
Yeah.
stuff that actually benefits descendants of enslaved people.
Makes sense. It's about addressing those historical injustices, right?
Yeah.
Not just talking about them.
Exactly. There were two specific bills, SB 1403 and SB 1331. They were supposed to, like, set up a framework for compensation, a special fund for reparative justice programs.
What happened to them?
They got stalled in the assembly back in September.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, it's complicated. Procedural stuff, funding concerns. But the California Legislative Black Caucus, they got $12 million in the budget for next year to keep working on it.
So it's not over.
Not at all. One of the advocates, Dr. Booker Cook, he said something that really stuck with me. He said, "Why would you build a house and not let anyone live there?"
That's a powerful image.
Right. It's like, it's not enough to just acknowledge the injustice. You got to actually do something to make it right.
Exactly. You got to make reparations a reality for the people who've been denied it for, like, generations.
And the conversation is definitely evolving. There's this new reparations bill, AB 7. It's focused on college admissions for descendants of slaves.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, seems like things are moving forward. These advocates, they're calling for like a bunch of different things. Reintroducing those stalled bills, making sure that California Reparations Task Force report gets out there, and a defense fund to like support the policies.
They're thinking big picture, huh?
They are, and they're saying they want to work with like both Democrats and Republicans to get it done.
That's good to hear. I mean, these are big issues. They require everyone to come together, right?
Exactly. It's about collaboration, persistence, and being willing to like have those tough conversations.
Looking at all these stories we've talked about today, there's a common thread:
That's that.
empowerment. Whether it's someone like Nikki Giovanni or Dave Roberts, who, like, defied the odds and achieved amazing things, or communities coming together to fight for reparations or support youth mental health, it's all about people taking charge and making a difference.
Yeah, it's inspiring, right? Like all these people taking action, making things happen.
Totally. It makes you realize that you can make a difference too.
Exactly. Even small things like having a conversation or just showing support for someone.
Absolutely. Like, every little bit counts. Every time you become more aware of something, every step you take towards understanding, it all adds up to a better future.
It does. And speaking of progress, it's interesting how so many of these stories connect back to that idea of challenging the status quo, right?
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Like you think about Nikki Giovanni self-publishing her work,
Oh.
or the reparations advocates pushing for change, or even California, like using tech to address mental health in a whole new way. It's
Yeah.
all about like pushing boundaries, not accepting things as they are.
That's a good point. And it's not about being disruptive just for the sake of it. It's about seeing where things could be better, more just, more fair, and then having the guts to actually push for those changes.
Yeah, I agree. It reminds me of that quote from Dr. Booker Cook.
Hmm.
about building a house and not letting anyone live there.
Yeah.
It's like that applies to so much more than just reparations.
Yeah, for sure. It's about all those systems and structures we create and whether they actually benefit everyone or if they're leaving people out.
Totally. And that's where I think individual action comes in, right?
Absolutely.
Like each of us can ask ourselves those Kwanzaa questions. Who am I? Am I really who I say I am? Am I all that I ought to be?
It makes you think, huh?
It does. It's about being accountable for yourself, but also about how you're showing up in the world.
Hmm.
What are you contributing?
It all circles back to empowerment, right? Like we're not just watching things happen. We can actually shape our own lives and the world around us.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes these deep dives so interesting. It's not just about like learning facts. It's
Yeah.
about making those connections, having those moments where you're like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah, those aha moments that change the way you think about things.
Totally. And then hopefully, that inspires you to take action, to do something.
Right. Knowledge is power, as they say.
So true. So as we wrap up this exploration of Southern California news, we hope you're feeling informed, but also like empowered and ready to get out there and make a difference.
Exactly. Go make some noise. Challenge those assumptions. Support the people who are fighting for good. And never stop learning. Never stop growing.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Keep driving deep, everyone, and we'll catch you next time. Keep those brain cells buzzing.